Okay, good afternoon everybody, and thank you for joining us for what is February's live webinar. For those of you who have been joining the series, as you know, we tend to run a webinar every month on an element of what we do, so that you can get a more focused look at part and parcel of the VanillaIP proposition. You'll also be aware that VanillaIP, we've worked on a creation of a very dynamic and very diverse product set for our reseller channel. So we encourage you to stay with us on our webinar program, join in and see what else is on offer and what's becoming available through the year. Part of what we're able to do is, of course, down to the fact that we have YouBoss sitting in the middle. YouBoss is our enabler, it's the differentiator that you have as a tool as well. And it's worth remembering when we kick off, and for those of you who might be joining us for the first time, that it brings into play so many more features for you as you go to market. If you were with us in January, you will have seen Lee do a presentation on the omni-channel contact center. Unfortunately, he was brilliant, and I have to go next after him, so we'll see how I get on. But omni-channel contact center is a combination of products and services from multiple vendors brought together within the YouBoss portal to deliver a really excellent solution involving chat queues, callback queues, and with social media queues coming as well. YouBoss is also giving us the ability to bring both call logs and call recording management into one environment so that people can see the call logs and the call recordings, access the call recordings in one place. It is true wholesale, it is true white label, so all of the functionality of YouBoss is being driven down to our reseller channel for full branding and full pricing control. You've got analytics both relating to your customers and to your own business and your own business performances, all being driven through the YouBoss portal. As I said, it's multi-vendor management, so we're not just talking about the products and services which we at VanillaIP bring in, but we're supporting our resellers bringing in other propositions. And we'll talk about that a bit more as we go through the package presentation together. Credit locking, of course, is a vital part of what YouBoss is able to do, so it's working on top of the Broadworks platform to ensure that you and your customers are protected from fraud hacking. There's integration with other products such as GSM SIM cards, so we have a range of SIM card related services and packages that you can bring into a user proposition. And we can also look at then creating this seamless route through to billing. So I've said here that we're including third-party CDRs and SDRs, but it's more than that. It's more about making an elegant live process so that you as a manpower don't have to commit days and days to the invoicing at the end of a billing period. And this is all evolving in the hands of a development team which is about 85 people strong. So when we look at YouBoss, when you look at the proposition and how you're going to be facing the marketplace in the future, you realise and we are able to deliver on future developments because of the investment that we make into the YouBoss portal. But we're here today to talk about bespoke packaging, and the first question that springs to mind is why? Why are we looking at bespoke packaging? What does it mean to you as a reseller channel? And it's interesting because earlier on this week, myself and a colleague were touring around meeting some other resellers and talking about other Broadworks propositions. And it very much comes back that it's a one-size-fits-all, it limits the amount of the marketplace that you can address, things don't cost justify at the very small end, things don't cost justify at the big end. And the perception of Broadsoft or Broadworks propositions are that they're quite regimented and inflexible, and you end up being in a margin fight with everybody else who's got it. And this couldn't be further from the truth. So when we talk about bespoking the packages, we're talking about two things. One is creating differentiation for you as a reseller, and the other is creating a proposition that suits the needs of their customers. So from a differentiation point of view, you've got Broadsoft products and services, and there's a core area of telephony capability and some UC that comes in from there. But as you know, VanillaIP will work with other vendors and will bring in specialist third-party products like the Unity products that we use in the contact center environment but we'll bring in these third-party products to enhance the proposition. The YouBoss team are constantly developing things like the call recording service, which is a highly compliant call recording service for GDPR and MiFID II. But then finally, you've got this ability as a reseller to bring in your own best-in-class services at your level. So that despite the fact that it's nothing to do with our delivery piece, you can bring them into the YouBoss environment and bring them into your packaging requirement to give you that different status and different appearance. What that enables people to do, and what it enables people like myself to do as a salesperson, is to do a proper sales job. Because I've got ultimate flexibility, because I've got the ability to create packages which are feature appropriate to the type of users that we're going to try and attract from each customer, we can do an in-depth fact find, we can identify the high value needs, and we can also identify extensions that don't need functionality, and we can present that in a very honest and very easy way so that the customer always feels they're getting value for money. And it's that tailoring of the solution that allows us to show the customer that we're delivering exactly against their brief, and because of that, that we can maximize the ARPU, but more importantly, the margin that we make from the creation of those services. So that's why we've focused so much on being able to be flexible and be able to deliver this toolkit to our partners. But we have to start somewhere. So we've started with a single building block called a smart user, and this, if you like, is the table stakes, the entry-level extension as we see it, and it's the simplest way of us packaging up the core BroadWorks and small additional services. So it's a very simple extension that gives parties 3 concurrent call capability, the ability to call forward, the ability to transfer calls, to have call waiting. It creates the call logs that allows the YouBoss reporting engines to do such a great job in terms of analytics. We have included the VanillaIP product, which is a call control product with system control capabilities, conference bridge control capabilities, drag and drop call management, just so that, well, whatever the customer, they have the opportunity to use a PC-based useful call management tool. And by all means, take a closer look at the Unity product. But what it does mean is that you can probably give the customer a full range choice in hardware, from a very entry-level box to one with lots of buttons and lights on it if they want to drive their call management from the handset itself. And the final piece that we include in this, because we very much believe in the growth of collaboration and the growth of flexible working, and really the first point of call for that is a conference bridge, so people from inside the organisation and outside the organisation can commune easily for a conversation. So we've created this entry-level pack. It comes at a very aggressive price. It can be bought from us on a 30-day model. It can be bought from us on a rebate model where we create a hardware fund with you. And it can also be bought as an eternity or a perpetual license model as well. So that's the entry-level system, or the entry-level package. And then what we do is to work with our resellers to help them to create the packages that first of all suit their salespeople, and secondly suit the marketplace that they want to go after. So you'll see highlighted around our smart user here are things like minute bundles, which you can take from us. We create a couple of minute bundle options, or you can create your own. The new tools like the UC1 collaboration suite, the call recording proposition that I've talked about, voicemail. A lot of people think voicemail goes in as default, but when our statistics tell us only 55% of people currently want to take voicemail, of course it should be an option that you can choose to put in or leave out. One of the Unity products, Unity Pro, the upgraded version with instant message, so good entry-level instant message tool. GSM SIM cards, so bringing mobility into the same pack. UC1, the more traditional soft phone, either for mobile or for the PC. And then round to things like the mobility pack. And for those of you who are familiar with the BroadWorks environment, this is going to bring in things like remote office, BroadWorks Anywhere, simultaneous rings and multi-device management in one place. For those of you not familiar with Broadworks, do book a session with our team and we'll talk you through how elegant some of these propositions are in terms of making things flexible, and how this particular pack helps you again with things like MiFID II compliance if you're working in the financial sectors. Supervisor packages so that we can control contact center or call center as well. DDI, you might be interested to see DDI sitting out there, but with again 50 to 60% of the marketplace only taking DDIs and the others being extension workers off maybe a central inbound hunt group number, etc. It's an option that you can leave out. It's waste if you have to put it in. And then Unity Mobile and our agent packs, again, more functional propositions that some users would want. And having laid out this toolkit for you, the process partners will go through is to create what they consider to be enough and not too many stepping stone points to take to market, either so they can present it on the website or so it's easy for the salesperson to start the conversations. But if I give this the entry level, there's my smart user. I don't have to add anything to a smart user if I'm going to be looking at, let's say, a door entry phone or a very simple user group sitting behind a hunt group, that sort of thing. I can then have the option of building up my next user. And in this example, I put a DDR and voicemail box into it, but I've also created a 200-minute bundle. And it was quite surprising when you look at the analytics of a whole base of customers, and we've got 35,000 users on the base. The actual average use in terms of minutes from that user base is about 162, with roughly 100 of those being to landline and 62 being to the mobile. And again, that means that if we're facilitating them with more minutes than that, we're possibly inviting them to pay more than they need to for an active bundle. Now, and the marketplace tends to suggest that covers about 60% of the actual extension users out there in the marketplace. But of course, it doesn't necessarily facilitate all of the requirements of the businesses we're selling to. In order to cater for all the staff, we have to look at different user packs or different user services that we can put out to. So in my next example, I've built up something which has more minutes. We've got a more dynamic phone user. I've introduced the mobility pack. This person may or may not be staying in the office or just around the desk environment. They may be roaming around a wider site or around the country itself. And I've brought in a combination of a couple of products here, Unity Pro and Unity Mobile. So I'm going to use instant message perhaps. I'm going to use screen capabilities both on a mobile and on a desk phone to really get the best out of it. So there's a pack that I could easily see attracting one of the top 40% of users in an organization. Here's a different example of another sort of mobile-esque worker. Again, I've given them a larger minute bundle and the mobility pack, but this time I'm seeing them using the Broadworks UC1 Collaborate tool. So they're going to be doing more collaboration work, maybe they're more project team work with people inside and outside the organization. I'm going to suggest that they're away from the office more, so I'm going to use call recording. So as a manager, I can monitor the performance of them both in team meetings and in customer meetings, and perhaps providing them with a mobile device as well on which to run their mobile products. So I'm creating a GSM SIM, all within one user pack. And it's worth re-stressing that these elements, when put together, will become one deployable package on the YouBoss platform, and therefore one individual line item when it comes to running the bill out. And the final example I put out, and this is a growing number of organizations as they go to increase the customer experience, will be using this agent level stuff, but I've done for a soft phone based agent package with call recording, a typical inbound call center operative who is obviously going to be supervised and trained on the back of the call recording. So commonly, as we've taken the opportunity to build these packs, we've got ourselves a small portfolio of go-to-market products, and of course we've got a varying wholesale cost and a varying sales price according to the features that have been brought in. But as a reseller, you don't have to end there. It may be that beyond the VanillaIP portfolio that you're working with, you're also looking at other services, so perhaps CRM packages, virtual desktop, other mobile services that aren't related to us, device management, that sort of thing. You may be offering 365, another version of either conference or video conference capabilities, Zoom or something of that ilk, and you might be offering one of the document sharing systems, the cloud document sharing systems. All of these might form part of your IT/IP proposition, and YouBoss will allow you to then include, if you wish, those propositions into your baseline packs as well. So if you're offering a full office worker proposition down here and a full mobility worker proposition up here, you can see that now those elements in green can also be included in the single deployable package and will relate to a single line item. So now you can see how your organization can be delivering the differentiation, the unique product set that means that you are not going to get put in a like-for-like Dutch auction. You are going to present yourself with the portfolio that your salespeople can manage, and you are tailoring the propositions perhaps according to the verticals or the marketplaces you commonly work in. Now, just on the back of giving that single building block, however, we did consult with the marketplace, and those of you who might have been on the launch webinar of this, I'll just go over all details again, but we do occasionally see a reason to create a couple of additional bespoke propositions. We do have a call center agent package, which is a price-reduced combination of services that we put out already. But we did look at the education and the charity sector, which our resellers said that they wanted to approach but had specific challenges when doing so. And so you'll find, and please speak to your channel manager about more detail of this, that we've taken a version of the smart user, and rather than the examples I showed you before where we added functionality, as an organization, we've actually stripped a couple of pieces of functionality out of this. We've 3 of the call forward options are gone. You still have a disaster recovery call forward option in the user, but we've stripped out some of the functionality. We've made it a single concurrent call extension, but we've essentially produced a classroom phone. And the reason we've done that is so that we can give a generous price point to you, the reseller, so that you can give an equally generous price point to the education services. Classroom phones have been the Achilles heel of the cloud environment because they simply don't justify the investment. It's what keeps the PBXs in there. So with this particular proposition, I'm sure you'll be able to see that you can price in classroom phones and give a good general education proposition out there. And equally, charities, I suppose we all just have to rock back and say these guys are doing a great job and they need all the help they can. So as an organisation, we've taken the decision to back you if you're going to back a local charity, and we'll just produce a package price that is heavily reduced from the normal price that we provided to you. Now, there are some terms and conditions around these, as you would expect: justification, charity numbers, education, registrations and that sort of thing. So, but again, do speak to your channel manager about this. But again, we've used this YouBoss package management control system and deployment control system to allow us to create some pretty specific packages. The net result of all of this, for those of you who work and look at the actual performance, the financial performance of your business, is that you're able to go to marketplace with this feature-appropriate user service. So if you are only delivering a group of services with a low-cost price, then of course your sale price can reflect a similar low level, and yet still deliver maybe 40, 50 points of margin. But equally, when you go up to the high function things, the cost price has gone up, but you are able to cost justify retaining that margin even in these higher value products. So economically, as well as structurally, you've been able to create a model that's going to be good for your business and good for the performance of your bottom line. Now, what I would just want to do is just pop into the portal. For those of you who haven't seen it in action, so this is the bit where everybody crosses fingers and all that sort of thing. I'm not going to dwell on it long. There's plenty of provisioning training that goes in. I just wanted to give you a passing idea of how these packages can be built, how easy it is to go through the system of building it, how you can create those additional services, those non-VanillaIP, non-BroadWorks services that we've been talking about, and just have a quick look at how that also allows you to address the self-service element, which is, again, as we go forward into this cloud environment with consumption on demand, is going to become an increasingly interesting part of it. So let's just pop out that for just a minute and back into my portal, and I'll make sure my portal's not logged me out before I start trying to do something. So we seem to be still logged in, so that's okay. So for those of you who've never been in the portal, welcome to YouBoss. You can see that this is our level, so we're branding it and we're putting our offers on there. We've got fast navigation buttons, etc. And you'll see from the navigation that we're able to work with distributor level partners, reseller level partners, and then below the reseller level we start to build the customer's business. But within our resellers, and I'm just going to knit forward to one here, you can see I've gone VanillaIP distributor to my test environment Aurora. I'm at a reseller level now, so this would be you as a reseller if you're creating the packages. And you can see that using the logic that we just described in the slide deck, I've created a portfolio of different user types that I can now offer to any organization that I create in the portal. So I can have organizations with any number of different variants of the packages that I've created. But if I want to create a new one, I'll press the new button and it'll take me into this screen. For the purposes of time on this webinar, I've part built this one for you so we can just show you how it works. But here we see in step one, I'm going to create a package name. I'm going to give it some details so I know what it's about. But the first thing I do is I go down and I look for the building block that I want to use. And in this particular case, I've taken the smart user building block, that simple one we talked about. And that's the basis of the package that I'm building here. I can also then, as you can see, add any number of different elements into that package. For the sake of, again, just keeping this nice and neat, I've selected a call recording element, which has now been added to the main suite of services. So there you see it's been added to the main suite of services. And I haven't yet completed this selection as yet, so that you can see if, for instance, you wanted to make a MiFID II compliant extension, then these are the call forward elements that you would want to leave unticked. So if I tick all of these services, you'll see everything becomes ticked. But for certain reasons, you might want to remove these services because it prevents a compliance issue or for some other reason. So you can see here that I've created this package, and if I now move on to next, we're going to go on to the tariffing. YouBoss is going to allow you to hold multiple tariffs. I'm just going to work in one tariff here, but you can set different price points according to your tariff. But as I go into this product, which I'm now creating, I can first of all put a setup charge into it. I can put a recurring cost charge, so let's say I'm going to charge £10 per month for this particular package. I am going to put in a nominal code so that when you report this back out to your back office accounting package, you've got a reference to your nominal codes. And you'll also be able to see from here that if I wanted to offer a rebate, a kit fund on this, I could. And if I wanted to include a cease charge, which you might do if it was a lease line or something like that, you could include that as well. For those of you who want to turn these into CapEx propositions to the customer as well, this is the area in which you can create that license with an eternity element, a perpetual license package. So you can put pricing into those elements as well. But for the sake of argument, just to show you the process of creating a package, which is only a 3-step process, I'm just going to go back into the last section now, and this is where you decide what the contract rules are. You put the commercial rule on, you put the tariff prices in. Now I'm going to decide what tenure of product I'm going to create. And for a number of services, this might be a 30-day service. If you're doing a rebate service, you may want that to be, let's say, a 36-month service. So what we're going to do here, and you'll see, sorry, sometimes slows up on the old screen share here. I've got the ability to change the minimum duration of that product to, let's say, 3 years, or I can keep it as a 30-day product. But I've got full control, you've got full control over whether that's going to be an on-demand service or whether it's going to be part of your contractual element. So that's essentially how easy it is to build a package. And if you go back to the slide deck and see the 5 or 6 different variants that we have, it's not a big job. Once you've decided what you want to put into the proposition, it's 5 minutes to build these packages ready to go to market. So that was building a package. We talked when we were in the slide deck about adding services that didn't relate to VanillaIP supply lines. So again, I've just gone into this section here, and if I just show you where it appears on the directory or the hierarchy here, I'm just going into the services environment here. And again, just to start the process, I put a couple of names in. But if you're going to sell Office 365, and you want to add that to a package because you're supplying that to the customer as well as the communications or the cloud services element, you can simply add the product. If it's being delivered by a swivel chair provisioning system, i.e. you're just going to need to communicate it to the provisioning desk for your Office 365, the service can be given an email address, and that means if a customer were to allocate it themselves, and I'll show you self-service in a couple of minutes, it will deliver an email to your provisioning desk to tell them to set this email up. I can then make the service assignable, allow it to be added into those packages that we have been looking at just before. I can make it assignable as an individual standalone service. If it was relevant, I could have it as a multiple service, but let's just say it's not at the time for the time being, and I can change the date. If I wanted to have a variable price, I could put the change tariff rate in there as well. So very simply, I can go down and create a service, and as you would expect, I then just add the minimum duration term for that service, the notice period for that service, and quarantine, incidentally, is the number of days that YouBoss will hold the service, even though it has been discontinued as a billing event for the customer, just in case somebody cuts off a service that you really want or a package that you really want to maintain. So that's basically the building of a package and a service in YouBoss, all very simple stuff. Even I can do it, and that's a good acid test as to whether it's simple. And the final thing I was just going to show you in YouBoss as this quick dip into it was just when we build a package, when we build a service, when we go through the tariffing, when we go through the commercial rules, part of that is to prepare ourselves and our customers for the ability to self-serve. When your marketing team starts to sell a service that's only costs £1 or £2 per month, it's inappropriate to have a support person have to spend time putting it on. You may lose all your profit in the administration of it. So self-service is the way forward on this. And here's my user, Finn Russell, who's not available to play for Scotland this weekend because a French team have broken him. But if I look at Finn Russell's package, you can see the services that he's got. He's an agent. So he's a call center operator here, he's got a mobility pack, he's got a UC1 desktop, but you'll see if I hover over anything else, that first of all I've got a setup charge of 0, so this particular reseller's being very generous and not charging setup charges, probably a mistake. But you can see that I've got this recurring charge of £4.74. If I elect to take that service, and this again could be the system admin person of your customer electing to take that service, you've shown them the commercial rule, therefore you can contractually obligate them to pay. You show them the contract rule, it's a 30-day product so they can understand their commitment. If they want to take the service, they just leave it on, it rolls past midnight, becomes a billing event. If they don't want to take it, they can just end it. But importantly, if they've taken the service and it's got a contract rule off, if they try to end it, YouBoss is going to splash message them to tell them that they've got a 30-day period of notice to go through before that service can come off, and do they want to end it immediately, etc. So hopefully that gives you an insight into the reasoning for creating the product packages, the reason for creating services, maybe services that are outside of the VanillaIP set, how YouBoss allows you to bring them together, how it allows you to have easy and simple contractual and tariff control over them, and just means that you as a service provider in this marketplace can differentiate yourself easily, can control the delivery of services easily, but can continue to combine what you consider to be best-in-class elements in order to stand out in a marketplace which is ripe for the taking at the present time. And although we tend to think of ourselves as pretty smart in the cloud communication space, the logic behind this can be seen even in the simplest of other industries. And I thought it was quite an interesting example just to highlight this to the cyclists who are out there, especially the road bikes who are waiting for the sun to come out because they won't go out in the mud. But you can see if I was running a bike shop, I'd have standardized core packages, but then I would be looking to upsell on specialist quality elements, additional elements that will be required by the user. But if it can only need be added if the customer themselves elects to agree that the investment is worthwhile. So it's not a new principle, it's just that within our cloud space, because of YouBoss, we're able to adopt this sort of flexible approach to designing and building a solution with your customer in the room. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was interesting. I hope you got an idea of exactly how you can utilize the services to differentiate yourself and make stronger margins, how YouBoss sits there at the heart to help you control all of this. And I invite you to come and join us and work out how to build the proposition that's really going to capture the marketplace for you and help your sales guys get out there and win big. So thank you for your time. I don't know if we've got any questions coming in. I forgot to say at the start you can ask questions, but please do reach out to us after the event if you want to speak to one of the guys in the team, find out a little bit more about how you can create very own special route to marketplace. But thank you for taking the time to listen to this webinar, and do keep coming back to more. As you can see from slide 1, we've got plenty of subjects to talk with to you about this year, and we hope you enjoy using them in the future.